All right, you ready to kick this thing off then?
Yeah, let's do it. Where should we start?
Where do we typically start? Like, I guess. Oops.
Around the NHL.
Hold on, yeah. I just gotta turn you up real quick.
I try to talk into the microphone because sometimes I talk the other way.
No, I turned you down before, and now I'm turning you back up. So, all right. Yeah. Let's just start off with going around the NHL, I guess.
Do you want to start with the Kassian Tkachuk battle?
Yeah, I assume that's where we got to go. That seems to be the biggest news. Maybe not news. Biggest storyline since we last sat here and talked. There's been a lot. To me, there's been a lot of different takes.
Yep. Yeah, there's been a lot.
A lot of different takes. I think the most common thing is that everyone agrees that on the Kassian suspension.
Yep.
Maybe the penalty in the game might not have been big enough. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I thought, to me, there's been talk about why wasn't Tkachuk suspended, and I'm just like, I don't know. Oh my God! Sorry, Philly just hit the post.
I think they're grasping at straws. I think that's, if anybody says Tkachuk deserves a suspension, then that's just somebody on the wrong side of the fence trying to, get some sort of even scraps or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. There's nothing there for a suspension for Tkachuk.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, like, the people are saying, like, oh, he was charging, oh, blah, blah. He shouldn't even be going down there, blah, blah. It doesn't matter if he shouldn't, as a winger, be coming down low to hit someone that he's been having some beef with over the years. It doesn't matter. It's still, to me, it was a clean hit. Kassian.
Where's the line? If you're going to allow hitting, where is the line? Who scored?
Philly scored. $300 coming my way.
Nice.
Yep. Had to. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
I've been sweating this all day, so.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Full disclosure, I've watched the hits, but I've lost track of which hit is what. And there's apparently 3, but I only remember 2. And so, like, I can comment on the ones that I remember, but I don't remember the exact order. The 2 I remember were the one where he hit him down on the goal line, and he kind of knocked both him and that other D partner over. He knocked.
Yeah, and that's the one where Kassian got up and started going crazy.
No, that was the next one. The next one was when Kassian was behind the net.
Oh, I thought you said below the goal line. My bad.
On the goal line.
Okay.
To the left side of the net.
Mm-hmm.
Where the three bodies went to the ground. Tkachuk, whoever that D was, and then Kassian. And then the other hit down behind the net where his bucket went flying. Kassian's bucket went flying, and then he went crazy after Tkachuk. Those 2 hits I can comment on. I'm not sure what this other third hit is that people were referring to. I don't know which one that is.
Yeah. And your overall take is kind of probably along the same lines as mine, right?
Well, the thing that I struggle with most is some of the details that Kassian put out in the media. When he
that's some of the fun of this whole thing.
There was a lot of reading between the lines on that, or at least that's how I took it. Couple things I took out of that was basically Kassian. I feel like Kassian's had conversations in the past where he was told, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, or you'll be suspended.
Yep.
And then now a couple of years later, after he's cleaned up, I think that they're saying, oh, no, that's legal now. And he's like, wait a second. I was told, and I think that they said, you were told by, who was the guy before Peros? Player safety.
Not Shanahan, right? The guy in between?
Yeah.
I forget.
I don't remember who it was, but let's say it was whoever that was. Mm-hmm. That person, so Peros, to me, what I read was Peros said, whatever you're told in the past, ignore. Let's have a conversation what it is or is not allowed. So Kassian's been very good and very tame within his game, and he's been walking. Mm-hmm. He has not been walking as close to that line as he did earlier on in his career because A, he's cleaned up. Mm-hmm. Not that has a whole lot to do with it, but B, I think he values his career more, maybe is the better way to put it, or long-term career, especially with playing McDavid now. So, like, I think that you're going to see Kassian unleashed a little bit, which is scary. for some teams.
Yeah, and when he's on coming out afterwards, and he's like, "Oh, it's good to know that it's good to know." It's like,
yeah,
I'm a little worried that
you gave him ammo.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. That this is gonna.
I can do this now. You cannot suspend me.
Yeah, so I think this is gonna be like Kassian is just wording things like perfectly so that he can cover his ass.
Yep.
Should he get in this situation, and at the same time, in his interviews, he sounds like he's like licking his chops in a way, ready to get back out on the ice to throw.
The first time they play, he will pretend he doesn't even know Tkachuk. I guarantee. One of two things: opening draw, they'll fight, or if they don't fight on opening draw, he'll pretend he does not know who Lucic is. He'll pretend he does not know who Tkachuk is. He's going to try and play his best game and get that game winner that Tkachuk was talking shit about and get the 2 points and then come back and be like, you chirped? All right, everyone had the spotlight. Everyone was watching. I did nothing. I was a good boy. Now the second time around, let's get some.
Yeah, I don't see them fighting because I think Tkachuk wants nothing to do with that.
No.
I'm with you. Like, Cassian's first game back is when they play next. So, like, probably next week, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be heavily under the microscope, so he'd be stupid to even try anything close to borderline.
If there's a clean hit there, take it.
Hell yeah.
But don't do something stupid.
Yeah. I think he was he threw Tkachuk around like a rag doll, like they say. I think a little bit of it is Tkachuk just going limp on purpose.
Yeah.
But
when this shit happens, it always bleeds to the big boy, right? That's why teams have the big boy. They have the Michael Haley's, why they have the Colton Orrs, why they have these guys who nobody wants to fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if anybody's going to do something stupid, you think anyone really wants to get involved with Lucic? I think he's probably the scariest one of them all. Maybe Kassian can go with Lucic, but, like,
they're
Lucic
probably a little bit of brotherhood.
A trained boxer.
Yeah. Is
so,
he?
like, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Last few years, he's been trained. It may not be boxing. It might be jiu-jitsu or something like that.
Yeah, trained fighter.
Yeah, he has fighting training, and he has, like, 3 or 4 years of training. So, like, I wouldn't want to bark up that tree. I mean, I wouldn't want to bark up Cassian's tree either. I think both of them would destroy me and eat me for a small snack. But, like,
I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover, so.
Yeah, it was an interesting conversation on local radio today, and they were talking about just, like, almost who would you first pick to fight? Like, obviously you don't want to fight. You obviously don't want to fight any of these big boys, but, like, between, like, Lucic and Kassian and Tkachuk and who were a couple other names that they threw out there. Darnell Nurse. There's one other one they were talking about, but I forgot. But, yeah, like, I was kind of like, I wouldn't want to mess with pretty much any of those guys. Like,
yeah,
they're all big, strong boys with long reaches. Like, it's not usually a good recipe for success in a fight when you don't know what you're doing.
No, for sure, for sure.
But I don't know. I don't think Tkachuk's hits were dirty. The other point I didn't bring up, but I should bring up that I read out of what they were saying was, I didn't quite get it, but I'll just say it out loud. Maybe it'll make sense. But Kassian was talking about basically something to do with having to have like a initiation for a hockey play, or you have to show that you have intent to be involved in a hockey play or something. They kind of cut it up weird, so I didn't get the full comment.
I don't even know if I heard that part.
Talking about, but it's weird because to me it was almost like he was saying he was told in the past, if you see somebody that's like 3 strides ahead and you go into a maneuver of, okay, I'm ignoring the puck, I'm going for the body, that's illegal. So what I kind of read out of it was, you can drill the guy, but you got to go in like with your stick going for the puck to make a hockey play. You can't just come in and take the body, which
is what Tkachuk did.
I thought was legal. But if Kassian's saying it's not, and there is some sort of rule about that, then maybe Tkachuk's hits are not okay. So that's the only part that can be
Ray
kind of weird.
Ferraro was the one that I heard talking about it being charging.
Yeah, that's what I would first classify it as.
Yeah, if anything, I guess it would fall into that category.
But I guess that's the question is before you weren't allowed more than 3 strides. You took 3 strides of hits to charge. That was the definition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the exact definition is, or is it one of those
I don't know,
gray area calls? And if it is, then maybe that should change. I'm not a fan of gray area calls because then it leaves room for interpretation. And when you have 12, 14, 18, 20 different referees on any given night, they could be having a good night, a bad night. They could have, had a shitty travel day and been tired and just the inconsistencies are going to be so high that's
sometimes hard to catch that too, to see how many strides someone's going before, because your eyes are on the puck most of the time.
And that's exactly it. If the puck's coming around and then you're that hit. How many times does a guy essentially seem to come out of nowhere, right?
You see him from the beginning of him starting the hit.
You don't see how many strides he took, where he came from on the ice. Good hitters, from my understanding, or my opinion is good hitters know where bodies are going, mm-hmm. and they know how to line up their connection with where that body's going. Good hitters don't target a body and try and hit it. They go to where they think the body's going and they try to meet them there. And that's how you get your big bone crunching hits, because when you get in those scenarios, there's no avoiding it. There's no getting out of it. It's pure momentum versus momentum, and generally bigger body wins or more stable body wins. Yeah. So if that's a talent and that's a good thing for certain people to have, but based on what Kassian said, it seems like that's almost illegal. No wonder hitting's down.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
I don't know. It just kind of made me have more questions than answers when I heard that.
I'm sure there'll be another hit that brings us back to the same exact question. That's the one thing. Always another one after that.
Until hitting is not allowed, there will always be difference of opinions on hits, clean hits. If there's a clean hit that takes out Matthews for the rest of the season, I'm going to be fucking pissed. But if it's a clean hit, fuck you. But you know what I mean? It's part of the game. It's part of the rules. So, it's not like you're cheating like baseball teams.
Yeah, seriously. I don't want to go down that road. That's a long road.
Too much. Yeah, we don't have enough time for that avenue. What else is going on in the NHL that you want to talk about?
Well, Mr. Sid the Kid's back, and Pittsburgh continues to roll.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising.
Sidney Crosby put up 4 points in his return. And, Pittsburgh's been... I know at the beginning of the season, I think on our first pod, I had them missing the playoffs. And now I'm starting to consider having them at the top of the division. So they're definitely... I don't get it. They're just keep on going. So I think that's one of the top stories right now.
Yeah. That's one thing I've always found interesting in the NHL, especially about Pittsburgh. They always have a big injury, it seems, every freaking year. And whatever it is, guys come out of nowhere and perform. Mm-hmm. And you see a guy, Matt Murray. Matt Murray's been garbage this year for the most part. Mm-hmm. Tristan Jarry's been propping them up.
Yep.
And you know my opinion on Jarry.
I do know your opinion on him. But, Crosby was down. Gensel was huge. Gensel went down. Now they got Rust is huge. Malkin's having a pretty decent season. They just seem to have...
Argue what you will. Galchenyuk missed a bunch of games.
Yeah, so, I don't know. There's that. I know there's your favorite story, the New York Islanders. There's not much of the New York Islanders. I was just chirping you because you think the Islanders are never going to...
Where do they play?
New York. What?
Where in New York?
Long Island.
Is that the team that plays at 2 arenas? Oh, yeah. Okay. By default, they don't count. If you play at 2 rinks, you're not a professional team. Sorry.
I think... I don't know. I'm looking at the standings here, so I'm kind of trying to see... Because I know we typically go around the Canadian teams, but there's not a whole lot that changed, I think, from last week on the Canadian teams. Vancouver...
The Battle of Alberta and Toronto injuries, really.
Yeah, Toronto injuries, the Battle of Alberta, which we kind of just touched on. The Pacific, all those teams are like within like 2 points of each other. I think that's a pretty big story. I think if Vancouver had won yesterday, but they lost to the Jets, which is kind of it was an interesting game for me to watch, just because I had said those two teams were going to be battling for the last playoff spot last week. But had Vancouver won that game yesterday, they would have been top in the Pacific, which just goes to show like how close. There's 3 points separating the 5 teams in that Pacific division, so that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, the West is pretty tight. I wouldn't want to be one of the lower teams, and I mean, you've discounted Chicago a couple times. They're right back in it.
They're right back in it. I had said they were going to be back in it early on, but then I gave up on them.
You lost faith in them.
I lost faith, but
I can't ever discount Chicago. A, because they're one of my teams, but B, that they have a bunch of guys that work hard.
They're right back in it. They've won 7. They've won 3 in a row and 7 in their last 10. They're right. It's really close, and it's gonna make for an exciting down the stretch. All on both divisions, though, both conferences. I mean,
there's really only 3 teams out in the West, in my opinion. And that's Anaheim, LA, and Minnesota.
Oh, not the Sharks, eh? You still think?
The only reason why I'm hesitant to is that I do not believe for a second that the GM was Doug Wilson, whatever Wilson. He doesn't stand pat. And I don't think he deems that this will be acceptable to miss the playoffs. They've traded a bunch of assets. I think that they're going to get desperate and they're going to bring in a goalie. I don't know what goalie, but I think they're going to go out and get a goalie, and I think it's going to be a big move. I think they might even dangle Merkley, who is their top prospect.
Yeah.
I don't know who they'd get, but I think that that's the move. And if they can get a guy who can freaking stop some pucks, they could win 7-8 games in a row, no problem.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to. So one of these teams is going to get hot in these next 30 games, and they'll be in.
Or make a big trade, which I think is the play. So it's there for the taking. Go get it.
Yeah.
Somebody step up to the plate. I mean, Arizona stepped up to the plate, and like they're not taking off, but if they didn't,
first,
I think they would be slowly losing ground on other guys. So
Taylor Hall is definitely having an impact. You see him on the score sheet most nights.
Better now too.
You see him on the score sheet most nights. And interesting, I forgot, this is somewhat big news coming out of Vegas.
Yep.
Gerard Gallant let go. I was shocked. When I heard it, I was like, wow. Didn't give him much of a leash.
It's an owner decision on that one.
You think so?
Has to be. That's dumb. It's dumb. It's
just crazy that A, they let him go, and B, they bring in the Sharks coach, Peter DeBoer or whatever. I forget.
Yeah, Peter DeBoer. Yeah.
Like those two are big rivals. Seems like
yeah, it was basically get the hell out, and we're gonna fucking slap you on the face or piss on you while you walk out. Like
it's strange.
Something smells wrong about that to me. There's something.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's more to the story than they're telling us.
Yeah.
Mind you, Vegas has been struggling in a division where they've kind of been expected to run away with it this year. They have been struggling.
Why are they expected to run away with it?
Because they're the best team on paper, but their defense and goalies have not, like, over the last 15 games they must be up there in
I don't think
goals
they're the
against.
Best team on paper.
You don't think so? In the Pacific?
If I'm being honest, I've been super impressed by what Vegas has done in the first 2 years of their life. Like, I think that it's almost unfairly set a bar or a precedent or expectation. And I think that it's unfair to expect them to do that. And like the first year they had a bunch of outcasts that realistically nobody wanted. I mean, they did want these guys, but they were left exposed, so they took it as they were unwanted.
Yeah.
When you put a bunch of guys like that together, not guys, but people together that when they have almost nothing to lose or when everybody else has given up on them or turned their backs on them, it's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, and it goes alongside too with that mass shooting that happened in Vegas right when they started. Apparently that brought the team really together.
Yep. And Derek England was like the guy who held that defense together. And to me, he was never more than a fifth defenseman anywhere. But he was playing as a top pairing guy. So like everything's been stilted up by A, Fleury playing out of his mind, B, just the team being basically the weakest part of your chain is, or the weakest part of the chain is the link or chain, whatever the saying is. You know what I'm saying? Like that they don't have a weak link. Like they're low end, they're bar end. Other teams have to fill with like entry level contracts. They have skill.
Yeah.
So like maybe sure on paper, if that's what you're saying, they're the best team. But like
this thing with depth, and like they have two very solid lines.
And they don't have bad lines really. They don't have a bad option at any part of that lineup. But I just feel like that bar, like everybody first expected them to do nothing. The bar was so low. It was. Like nobody knew what to expect. They said, oh, well, maybe they'll do good. Maybe they'll be good for a year, and then they'll take a step back.
I think Vegas had them winning the cup at 500-1.
Yep. Nobody predicted that they would have been if you a week ago polled everybody and you were like, for the first year and a half of their life, how satisfied are you between 1 and 10? You'd probably get a lot of 8.5s. 8.5, 9. So what does that mean, that the bar now is 8.5, 9?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you have to step back and be like, okay, the bar maybe should really be at, I don't know, 6.5, 7. And they're still performing at a 6.5, 7. Give them some time. Let the coach get them back. Like either A, the owner was like, you have 5 games to turn this around. If you don't, you're gone. Or the owner went down and talked to him and Gallant basically told him to shove it, or like something like that's happened. The timing of it doesn't make sense.
I can only think it has to do with they were blown out a couple times. But like, I love Fleury, I do. But maybe it might be his age might be starting to catch up with him in this league.
Well,
and they have no one to fall back on. Pardon?
Okay, exactly where I was going. Who is there to ease the load off Fleury?
Nobody, and when he's just been overused these past 2 years. I know that first year of Vegas, they have 6 different starting goalies. Fleury was out half the season, and they still continued to win.
Yep.
Hockey is a very variant sport where anything can happen on a lot of nights. A couple bad bounces and changes the whole outcome of a game. So eventually that would have caught up to them, and it's catching up to them when Subban's in net. They are not good, and Fleury has not been good, at least in his last 5 starts.
It's Garrett Sparks.
Yeah,
which we all know that story.
That's why I think it's interesting. You said the Sharks are going to go out and get a goalie, but
somebody needs to go get a fucking goalie.
Well, that's the thing. There's 5-6 teams that need a goalie, and how many teams out there that are going to be giving up a goalie? 2, maybe 3.
I mean, I would say at this point you're looking at Ryan Miller, Jonathan Quick, if you want to take on that contract. Maybe Devin Dubnyk, if you can take on that contract.
Yeah, like. But that's the thing, like.
Bernier, Howard.
This seems to be the year where goalies are going to be giving you the best return they have at the trade deadline in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's
like you look at some of the other big teams too. Like Colorado's a more complete, better, more competitive team, and they need a goalie too. So,
yeah. There's only a handful of teams that actually have that solid number one that has been consistent for them, can eat up some games. There's only a handful of teams like that right now. And a prime example is Washington, who thought they had that in Holtby, but at least they are lucky enough to have a good backup. Yeah. Whereas these other teams that have the number one, if he gets shaky, they don't have any backup to fall back on. Mm-hmm. So it's good. I think that. I think we were talking about this earlier in the group about goals being up in the league. That's might have something to do with it.
It might. I mean, it's tough to say. Like,
player, yeah.
There again with bars, certain standards. Mm-hmm. The standard for goalies used to be, okay, well, you need what, a 220, 230, 240 goals against, and you need a 910 to 920 save percentage to be considered a above replacement level goalie. What if that bar has been changed now? what if it's a 3 goals against and it's a 900 save percentage? I mean, these shooters are better. The equipment's getting smaller. They changed the equipment size both of the last 2 years. So, like, goalie equipment's getting smaller, but the players are getting better, and they're shooting harder. The puck's moving faster, and like,
yeah. So are the goalies really getting worse, or just they stay the same?
To go up. Maybe they accomplished that.
Yeah, it's possible.
Maybe that's as simple as it is. They've been saying for years they want more offense. Well, maybe this is what they wanted. Not what goalies want, not what goalie coaches want, not what coaches want from their goalies. But hey, if that's the new bar, that's the new norm, then
yeah, as long as everyone's getting the punishment.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I think the teams to watch though that could get desperate and do something stupid or big would be San Jose.
I
want to say Edmonton.
They're kind of up against the wall a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah. Philly, Buffalo. Those are the teams that I think are going to do something stupid.
Could Philly do something stupid, really, though?
They could trade Nolan Patrick.
The guy that's played half a season for them in like 3 years.
Yeah. But, I mean,
I'm interested to see what Boston's going to do. Because they always do something.
Yep.
And they have not looked good.
No.
But
what do they need? I haven't watched enough of their games. I don't know what they need.
Well, Rask just went down, right?
Who? Rask, yeah.
Rask just went down, so they're going to be right on Halak for a little bit. I haven't been watching them. I've been more like scoreboard watching them, but they are 0-7 in the shootout this year. They have 12 overtime.
Marchand taking shots like that. You can't use that record as an argument.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that was if you overskated the puck or anything. I didn't know. What?
If you overskate it but don't touch it, you're fine.
Okay, but it's because he touched it.
He touched the top of the puck. Yeah.
That was quite the way to finish. That was a pretty funny one.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know. I would assume they wanted a forward. I heard that they were the other team talking to Kovalchuk when he signed in Montreal.
I assume they want a forward. I just don't know. Yeah. They seem to be like they're up there in first place, but a lot of it has come from the extra point, the 1 point. They have by far the most overtime points in the league.
Yeah,
at 12. That's like big overtime.
They only have 3 more points in regulation and overtime than the Leafs.
Tampa Bay has less games played, more regulation wins than Boston.
Yeah.
And like it's still 6 points back. It's just crazy, and I don't know. I don't know if it's just luck, or if it's a house of cards waiting to fall down a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I really don't know.
But I think they're going to do something. They always seem to pick up some bottom 6 kind of players.
Yeah. Like a depth center or something.
Yeah. That might be one.
Probably a depth center. They just waived Richie, which I think he was on like a
Nick Ritchie?
Brett.
Oh.
Nick's in Anaheim.
Oh, still there. Okay.
Yeah. You want to do a standings breakdown?
You love this.
Not standings breakdown, standings prediction.
Yeah, we're gonna still doing these standings predictions. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start in the East this time. What's your 3 Metro? Start with just 3 Metro, 3 Atlantic, and then 2 wild card at the end.
Okay, so 3 Metro. I'm gonna keep Washington up top. I'm gonna have Pittsburgh number 2. I'm going to have Philly at number 3. And then, sorry, you said the next 3 in the Atlantic?
Yeah.
So I got Philly number 3, and then I'm going to go Tampa, Toronto, Boston. Same as I had last week. I'm pretty consistent. I think that's going to play that way. Boston, I think that they're just slowly going to catch up on Boston.
Yeah.
And for my wild cards, I'm going to do Carolina and the Islanders. And I'm gonna say that the Atlantic Division again sends the same 3 teams to the playoffs. Boston plays Toronto as per usual.
But Toronto has home ice.
But Toronto has home ice this time, and they're gonna get by them.
That's a bold call.
Yeah.
I will go with the Metro. I will go Washington 1, Pittsburgh 2, Carolina 3. I will go Tampa, Boston, Toronto. So Boston home ice. It's not 2 versus Toronto. And then I will say Philadelphia is the first wild card, so they would end up playing Boston. And I'm going to say Florida gets in and plays Washington in the first round.
You said Boston. You're going to have Philly playing Tampa, you mean?
Or sorry, Philly versus Tampa, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I took what you said to heart a couple weeks ago when you said I needed to consider the Islanders more if I like the Coyotes because they're the same team. So that's why I started throwing the Islanders in there, and just to
true statement though. Right?
Yeah, just because I know you'll never pick them, so I need to give them some love.
Yeah, I know. I think that, to be honest, I got to start picking them because they ain't going away, and
it's how you got to build that reputation up. So
the only way they miss, honestly, to me, is if Carolina and Philly both go on a tear. That's the only way, because I do think that there's only going to be 4 from each division that makes it.
Okay.
Like I don't know about which wild card. Like I think there's going to be some sort of crossover, but I don't think more than 4.
Florida has just never been able to get the goalie going.
But Brodsky will be hot.
He's out right now.
I know he'll come back. End of the season, he always goes on stupid tears.
You're calling it?
Yep. Last 2 years he has. Well, sorry. Last year he went on an unbelievable tear at the end of the season. I think he had like 4 shutouts in his last 10 games. And then I know because he helped me win McDavid in my one pool. Tried to trade him all year, and then at the deadline nobody would give me nothing for him, and then he helped me win the consolation to get McDavid as top pick. But then the year before, didn't he go off crazy the whole year?
He did, but if you get behind the 8 ball enough times, eventually you're gonna blow it. So.
But if you get down to the last week and you need a goalie for 7 games, he could get you in the playoffs at that point.
That's true. Florida was that team last year that went on a tear.
Yeah.
At the end, too.
I think in the East we can count out a lot of teams. Detroit, Ottawa, New Jersey, Montreal, probably the Rangers now. I mean, Panarin's doing his best to drag them kicking and screaming, but I don't think that he has enough to take them into the playoffs.
I just think the Metro's too full of teams to hop over.
Yeah, and then I think Columbus is playing their best hockey. Yeah, they're getting Atkinson back now. Yeah, they're getting Anderson back soon. I just can't believe that they will be better than the other teams that are battling them right now.
They just continue to surprise me. I can't put my finger on them. Maybe it's just good coach.
It is. It's definitely a good coach. And it's a bunch of people. Again, it's a team that everyone counted them out, right? Everyone counted them out and said they were shit and they're not going to make the playoffs. So I mean, again, that's a powerful thing, right? And when you have a coach,
it's a good motivator. Yeah.
And the coach knows how to exactly harness that. So it's not a bad thing. But I mean, if you look at the points right now, Philly's probably going to struggle a little bit without Hart. Maybe take a step back, but then hopefully, I think they'll add something at the deadline. They got too many assets. They're waiting on something. I don't know who they want, but
they've missed the playoffs too many times the past few years, and they're ready to be back. To me, they've been that team at the beginning of each season for the past couple of seasons. I was expecting them to make their step forward, and they just couldn't get the goaltending, let alone get it all together.
That's the thing that makes me wonder about Philly and kind of scares me a little bit. Is that there's a couple years there where they kind of sucked and they had some good draft picks, and they were almost one of those teams where it was hey, they're almost over ripening their prospects and picks because they're not so good and they're waiting till that time to bring them all up. And then they brought some of their kids up, and for example, their AHL team's garbage. It's the 3rd worst team in the AHL.
Okay.
I watched them play and beat the Marlies the other day 3-1. It was worst game ever. They're not very good. They've got Morgan Frost and like 2 other players we're talking about. But it's just kind of like they brought these kids up now to Philly, and they've like filled roles and they're playing well, but like you don't over-ripen guys to just be solid contributors, right? You over-ripen them to come in and be good players and like make you a better team. So like Philip Myers, their defenseman, and what's the other tall guy? Samuel Morin. They got one other defenseman I can't remember right now, but they were all supposed to be amazing. I mean, obviously they got Provorov in there and they got Gostisbehere in there and whatever, but like all those guys are just solid. They're not.
I do like how they added Niskanen onto the point. He's solid. He's been in the league for a long time.
They were supposed to have all these top young guys, and then they went and added Niskanen. So what does that tell you?
Well, he seems like a role player, kind of solid guy.
But you only got 6 spots back there.
Yeah, for real.
You got Gostisbehere, Provorov, and Niskanen, so there's half.
Well, Ghost has been a ghost, so this year.
But I mean, they got Nolan Patrick, like you said, he hasn't played that well. Maybe it's just that they haven't all been healthy at the right time to really be a complete team, and that's kind of why they appear to not be that good. That could be just the case. But there's just something off about them where it just seems like we've been waiting for them to take that step, and they almost like Buffalo, where it's like, where's the step? Like,
almost
I
like
want
what?
them to take it, but where is it?
Yeah.
Almost like Buffalo.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Totally agree.
It's like they should be better. They are on the right trajectory. They're doing things right. You expect them to just get better each year and slowly get to that point where they're in the playoffs. Is it just because there's other teams that are that much better right now? I don't know. It's hard to say, right?
Hard to say, but yeah.
But I mean, out of the playoffs, there's 2 spots left for Philly, Columbus, Florida, Buffalo, probably Islanders, Carolina. Probably 3 or 4 spots for those 6 teams. So either somebody's got to go on a tear or somebody's got to go out and get a trade. Pretty much all those teams need goaltending or need their goaltenders to step up. So that could be what solves it. And I mean, if you're looking at Carter Hutton, Sergei Bobrovsky, Elvis Merzlikins, Carter Hart, and Peter Mrazek, and you had to bet $1,000 right now and pick 2 of those teams, I'd pick whoever has Bobrovsky probably and Carter Hart, ignoring everything else, right?
Fair enough, yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm taking them. And the Islanders just play a good defensive game, so that's why I just don't think they're going to fuck up. I just can't
good coach again. Coaching seems to... There's been so many firings this year, it seems like, for coaches.
Because somebody set the precedent and somebody set the expectation that now anything's possible. Oh, you suck for 3 months, fire the coach. Maybe you'll be better.
Yeah, that's you talking about the Blues?
All of them. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Blues setting that.
Yeah,
it's happened once in a million tries, and now everybody thinks, oh, well, it's possible. Maybe we can repeat that. Well, happened once in a lifetime. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's silly.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes it's desired or deserved. I mean, the 2 guys, who was it? Dallas and Calgary, for different reasons. They obviously had to go.
Yeah,
Toronto had to get rid of Babs because the message had to change. I'm sure there's different things, but like some of them smell a little bad.
Yeah, and some of them got fired and are already coaching again. So it's a strange time. It's a strange
and like
time.
The funny thing is I was listening to the radio today, and they were saying that. What was it? What day is it today? Thursday? Wednesday. They are saying that on Sunday or Monday, Vegas reached out to San Jose to ask permission to talk to DeBoer. So San Jose fired DeBoer, but they still have to give permission.
Yeah,
Like, if you fired him, fucking he's gone.
It's weird.
Like, I don't know. But let's move to the West.
West Coast. Okay. Moving to the West. You want to go first this time?
I'll go first this time. Okay, so in the Central, I got St. Louis, Colorado, Dallas.
Okay.
Because I think Colorado's going to get a goalie. I don't know which goalie. I still will stick with my gut eventually. I think Price will come in the summer, so maybe they don't get a goalie, but I still think they're going to get somebody.
Do they need a goalie to be second anyway, though?
They need a goalie to have success in the playoffs.
Yeah, okay.
Who cares about second or third? if you're not the President's winner, who gives a shit about anything?
Okay.
Position, in my opinion. Arizona.
Whoa. Arizona
what?
First?
No, sorry, I wasn't. I was kind of talking out loud there.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, are you feeling okay there, Tori?
Yeah, no. Calgary first. I will take Arizona second, though.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go with. Hold on. Got to make sure I'm looking at the right divisions here. I think Vancouver's gonna push Edmonton out. Nah, no, Vegas. Sorry. So let me pick it. So Calgary, Vegas, Arizona will be the 3 for Pacific. St. Louis, Colorado, Dallas will be the 3 for the Central. And then I'm gonna go with Vancouver and Edmonton.
So you have Winnipeg falling out.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I want to pick them, but I
hear you. We'll get into it. I'll just say my picks quick. I'm with you on the Central. St. Louis, Colorado, Dallas. I think that's pretty safe, and I think it's pretty safe to assume St. Louis is going to be on top unless something just falls apart there. They almost set a record for straight home wins, but I guess Philly put an end to it tonight.
Yeah.
So in Pacific, I'm gonna go Vegas number 1. I think they're too good, and they're gonna turn it around. I don't know what happened with this coach, but I think that's gonna turn around. Arizona number 2, and I'm gonna have Calgary number 3. And my 2 wild cards are going to be Edmonton, and I'm gonna be a little bit off the board here and say Chicago.
I had a feeling you were gonna pick them.
Chicago. I'm back on the wagon after watching them the past 2 nights. I watched both their games.
Yeah.
Kane's a very good player.
Yep.
He is, hence he's a good player. I think they're a good team. It's just like the East. There's like 2 spots down here, 3. There's like 6 teams that need to fill up 4 spots. There's gonna be 2 good teams that are sitting out come playoff time. Could be anyone. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here, or be the one that said it early and say the Blackhawks.
Yeah. Well, they're probably my second or third favorite team, so like I will never hate on Chicago, but yeah. Hopefully they make it because I always like them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not much of a homer. I think I've been ignoring Vancouver.
Yeah.
The past couple weeks. I'm just not sold that they can do it with their defense and their goalie. I love their forward lines when they're completely healthy. I think they're a very good team. The problem is they have a couple of these guys that are prone to getting injured over and over and over. 3 of them specifically: Brendan Sutter, Tanev, and Ferland. All of them hurt all the time. So
all the time.
If those guys are all on the
playoffs, though.
Pardon?
Vancouver is a playoff build team. Like they're
sure.
built for the playoffs.
If they have their full roster, like they're a great team. But I think
that they have an opportunity where they could go maybe add something, because like at this point they're no longer going to be drafting well, because I think they're going to be trajectorying on the way up, not in the middle bottom kind of thing. They have that what's his name, Billy Podkolzin, their big pick from last year.
Mm-hmm.
They could maybe dangle him for a big piece. I think that they'd be smart to try and get a cheap replacement for Eriksson.
Yeah, the thing is too that Benning is basically managing for his job at this point. I think if the Canucks miss the playoffs, he's likely gone.
Yeah, he's got to do something savvy here, I think, to keep his job or show why there's value.
But he might. Like kind of like you were saying, how someone's gonna do something stupid.
He could be one of them.
This could be the Pacific. That I would, if I had to bet someone doing something somewhat stupid.
Probably.
I would bet on the Canucks.
Probably. If you had to pick one like division, what division will have a team that does something stupid? It will probably be the Pacific.
Yeah.
Because it'll probably be one of Vancouver, Edmonton, Vegas, San Jose.
Yeah.
One of those teams.
We'll call it
You want to do a quick fantasy league breakdown and then
call it? Yeah, we can go and take a look at our league here.
There been any recent trades? Oh yeah, I made a trade.
You made a trade. Oh yeah, here, let's pull it up here.
I sent Drew Doughty and Braden Holtby for a flex spot and Sean Couturier.
Yeah, I think
no picks.
No picks. Yeah, I don't know what you said to get Ben to want to do this, but because I don't see what.
I just said the guys I'm giving you are better than the players you have on your team.
But does he? That's true.
I mean, and I also gave him some advice on what I told him some players that I had on my watch list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely he went and made a bunch of moves after you did that, which is good. Like
his team defense sucked, which it did, and then now he's running a 2 defense strategy because he understands the benefits of it. And he went from Shabbat and somebody to Doughty and Giordano. That's a pretty big upgrade.
I'd say, yeah.
And then he has Jerry.
Is he actually keeping Holtby though? Like why?
No.
Okay.
No.
Like I would have dropped Holtby. You held on to him forever, man. I'm gonna give you a clap. I would have dropped him like ages ago.
Yeah, everyone was saying that, and like he has obviously high win potential when he's starting. But
I could see that. And our league, the wins is only one category, right? Like
yeah. But I thought my other goalies would do a better job at masking his shitty peripherals. But when my guys aren't having the best peripherals themselves, I can't mask it, and it hurts me.
See, I think you had your 3 goalie strategy would have been a lot strong. The problem with the 3 goalie strategy is the 7 ads.
Yeah. Because
you can run technically 3 goalies, but have like a cycle of goalies.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good. I think it'll be good that we bring it down. I'm a little worried when we lower the forwards, though, that the depth will be too good.
Yeah.
That's my only worry about the changes that we made, is that the depth of the forwards. Yeah, we did. Technically, we did.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Technically, yes. So.
I mean, everybody's probably going to run 3D now and a flex spot, but it's better than 2D and a flex spot. It deepens the D by 1 times 10 managers, approximately, so 10 D. But I set up another league with the supposed block edition.
I know, and
I looked at it today, and there was what I was looking at, or the bar I was setting, is how many players are in the top 150. How many defense are in the top 150 under the 2 different strategies? Because that tells you who should be rostered, essentially, right?
Yep.
In terms of average rank, I want to say there was 7 or 9 defense in our current setup that were in the top 150. And in the other setup, I want to say there was 14. So, like, not a big difference.
Yeah.
But the guys that moved up were, like, Petrie and Trouba and I think one of them was, like, Tanev or something that was in the top, like, bunch. And I was like, that's not right. that's not right.
Typically, defensemen, there's usually only a handful that are, like, amazing. And then the rest are just, like, whatever
plugs.
Yeah, so definitely when it comes to the fantasy side. So
yeah, I almost pulled off another trade too with 2 goalies.
Okay.
I was trying to get Brady Tkachuk off him because he was saying to me that he missed the boat on some trades. So I was like, okay, well, I mean,
what do you mean he missed the boat? Why does he?
I don't know. He was saying that he was all upset because some other people had made him good offers and offered him a lot back in return for him early on in the season, and now he's gone cold, so nobody wants to trade for him anymore. So he's like, oh, I missed the boat on trading for him. I was like, well,
for Brady Tkachuk?
No, for Brady Tkachuk, yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, I mean, like, are you keeping him? He's like, maybe. I'm like, an 8th rounder is way too rich for Brady Tkachuk. at least for this year and probably next year. In 3 years, yeah, sure, maybe an eighth is a solid keeper. Like for perspective, Vander Kane was an eighth. I would take a Vander Kane over.
I have Brock Besser as an eighth.
Yeah, so I mean, both those guys is better than him, right? So I was like, realistically, he's a hitter. That's all he's there for. Some shots, occasional goal, and hits. So I was like, all right, I'll make you this offer. And he's like, oh, that's a good offer. I was actually going to give him 2 draft picks, including a 10th rounder. Because he doesn't have a 10th rounder, and he wants to keep somebody that he picked up off free agency. So he's like, fuck, I need to get a 10th rounder. I was like, well, solve a couple issues here for you. And he's like, no, I don't want to do the trade. I was like, all right, whatever.
So if you don't have a 10th rounder and you want to keep a free agent guy, what's it cost you after that? 9th?
9th, yep.
And then an 8th if you don't have one of those?
Yep.
Okay.
You could go as far up as you want. If you really wanted to use a first for an 8th rounder because you didn't have any other picks, fucking go for it, but you're an idiot. So, unless you happen to like pick Pasternak or somebody that like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's gonna be a tight finish, man. Let's take a look at where people are sitting this week in the matchups. Let's look at the matchups.
I'm scared for myself.
You're scared, Mr. Maverick? Scared.
I'm worried. I'm really worried.
What are you worried about? Just missing now?
Yeah. Like,
you can't miss, man.
I wanted to be top 2.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Obviously, I wanted Presidents, but like the bye was most important to me because obviously I'm already at 56 ads. So like having to use those 7 ads in the first week is 7 ads that I wouldn't otherwise have needed to add or use, or I can use at another point during the season. So if I don't finish top 2, I have to keep 21 ads minimum, 777 for 3 weeks of playoffs, right?
Yep.
So like if I know I'm top 2, I only have to keep 14 ads. So like that's a big advantage. Plus, you can spend the week trying to get the guys you want and waiting and picking them up and just waiting for your eventual matchup, right? So like for me, if I'm not a top 2 player, it's a huge disappointment. Like to me, that's a failure. After spending all my assets, that's a big failure. So right now, I basically have the exact same schedule as Beers, except Beers plays Nick in the last round or in the last week. So that's like my only saving grace. But first tiebreak in regular season is winning percentage. So wins, ties, losses. Second tiebreak is versus opponents. So first tiebreak, because I don't have a tie, goes to them. So I have to leapfrog them. I can't just tie them. I have to pass them to beat them, right? Unless I get a tie somewhere, which is very unlikely. I'm actually hoping I get a tie this week. That would be unreal.
So,
but if not, then
you want to win, though. Come on, Tori.
Well, obviously, I want to win the pool, but I want to be top 2. Like to me, like sure.
No, I mean this week. You said you want a tie. I'm like, you want to actually win.
Oh yeah. Like I need a tie. Like a tie at this point is almost more valuable than a win for me. Because I own the tie breaks versus both of them versus opponent. So as long like I need one less point to leapfrog them because I own the tie break. So I only need that tie.
You know what's interesting? Just say if the week ended today, there would be Dan Cush, you, Rundles, me, and goalies all at 8 and 7.
Yep.
So 3rd to 7th would all be 8 and 7.
Which means that one of those teams is not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And there's only 5 weeks after this week, so 10 points left.
Yeah.
So like the runway's running out.
Yeah.
Like not too quick, but it's running out. Like it's time. We're 3/4 of the way through. This is the 3rd quarter mark this week.
I've been giving a thought about the trade deadline. I don't know if it can be changed for next year. Like it seems weird that you can make trades even in the last week of the season.
I did it that way to keep everybody in it. Because, like, if somebody, like, if Dylan wins 4 weeks in a row here and all of a sudden he's in it, he might decide, you know what, I got my first, but I'm going to trade my other picks to get into the playoffs now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm not going to win top pick, but I have 2 first rounders, so I can, you know, It's
No, that's
6
reasonable.
and 10 or whatever.
And that's
right?
kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just like, I sold because I thought I just lost 4 straight, and I lost to all the teams I really needed to beat.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm about to go on a 3-game win streak without freaking Patrick Kane. Like,
Yeah. And that's why I'm so disappointed, because like I've gone out and I've fired all my bullets.
Yeah.
Where am I? I'm right where everyone else is. So it's like, what the fuck was the point of putting up myself at this huge disadvantage for next year in the first year of quality keepers? Not that this year isn't quality keepers, but you get your top end keepers.
Mm.
I'm not going to be in that party. So I just ruined all my chances. Like, it's really disappointing. Like, and the other thing I look at is between both Beer and Nick, they only have 8 losses all year.
Yeah.
And I've given them 3 of those 8.
Yeah. I've lost to both of them both times.
Yeah.
They're
and Nick plays clutch and Nick plays beefy. So he has the 2 worst teams. So it's like, and Beers plays beefy and clutch. So like there's 4 points out of the last 12 right there, and I have to beat them by +3. So now if we're talking about that, out of 12 points, I got to get 8 and they got to get 6. So they're going to get half the points here on out. Yeah, tell me that's going to happen. Tell me they're going to lose half of their matchups for the last 6 weeks. It's not going to happen.
I think coming third's pretty solid. You're going to play 6th, which I think 6th is going to be pretty weak, one of the weaker teams. But again, it's hockey. Anything can happen on any week.
Anything can happen, and my goal is whatever the fuck. But like, I think if I played anybody below Beer Buds or Dynasty like 100 times, I'm going to win more than I lose.
Yeah, I agree.
But playing those other 2 guys and getting to the playoffs and that 1 week, like, you know how pissed off and upset I'm going to be if I don't finish top 2 and I'm out in the first round? Because
you're not going to fold the league, right?
What's that?
I say you're not going to fold the league, right?
No. What I'll do from that point is I'll put hours and hours and hours of research in, and I'm going to win the fucking pool next year to be like, I don't need no disadvantage. Fucking give me any handicap you need. I'll still kick your fucking asses.
Oh, yeah.
Light that fire that hasn't been there for a couple years.
Yeah.
Well, never that hasn't been there, but I've lacked my research a little bit in terms of sleepers and stuff like that last couple of years because my draft has been so fun.
I think my draft was the best in the league, so
mine wasn't great.
If Gensel didn't get hurt, my team is stacked, and I would never have traded Kane, and I would have made moves to make my team a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But Gensel was he was killing it. Everyone, what I did, I understood. Unlike Dylan, no offense, Dylan, but I understood that the value in this league was all forwards.
Yeah.
So my first 5 picks were like straight. I think my first 6 picks were all forwards that were number 1 power plays, like that shot a lot. That was.
See, I went with a different strategy. I grabbed Carlson in the second round, thinking, okay, well, if I get a really good defenseman, I'm going to have an advantage over other teams.
That could be fair. Yeah.
Didn't turn out for me.
Mm-hmm.
My worst player was taken in the second round.
I did a little bit of a gamble when I went with Aho, but he's paid off this season so far. He's at least met his value of where I got him. So
yeah, I did a good job flipping assets I didn't like off my own team into other assets I liked.
Yeah, you've done well with that.
1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 4 of the original 14 guys I drafted on my team.
Yeah.
Second pick, Carlson. Third pick, Draisaitl. Fourth pick, Laine. And then every other player.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at that. Like, when I was looking at trades, when we were negotiating our trade, I was kind of looking at... I don't think I kept anyone after the 9th round that I drafted except Shen.
You got Meyer, Theodore, Shen, Atkinson, Markstrom, and Petrie.
Yeah, so they're all gone except Shen.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the way that the bottom of it goes, I guess.
Yeah, if you had if Grubauer had turned out for you, you would have been fucking really, really good.
I got to a spot where I was like, it sucked. I was trying to flip one of them. I had Hart, Grubauer, and Kemper, and I had to get rid of one.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get rid of any of them, but I was trying to flip one for just a draft pick. No one ever ended up doing it with me.
Yeah.
So I had to choose between Hart and Grubauer. Everyone told me to drop Hart over Grubauer.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't listen to them.
Yeah, I would have said that to keep Hart. I would have said drop Grubauer.
Yeah.
I never believed in Grubauer.
I liked him as a backup in Washington.
Yeah, as a backup, I think he's a good backup, but I don't think he's much more than that. But that's just me. But for me, I've just missed a couple big game-changing things that could have happened for me. Like, I felt like I was just on the verge from getting Vasilevsky from 2 goalies, like a few weeks back. Like, I thought I was 1 week away from Vasilevsky continuing to suck.
Yeah, you probably were. I got Vasilevsky in my other league at the perfect time. Like,
yeah,
he's gone from like 180th overall to like 40th in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
back-to-back shutouts.
And I knew he was going to, and that's why I was like, because Tampa was such a light game played early, right?
Yep.
So it's just like there was like a false facade that it wasn't really truly what it was that people were seeing. And like I said, like if a 10 is completed trade, I felt like I was at like a 9.2, 9.4. Like I felt like I was right there. And then obviously even the trade earlier with Steve again, where he wanted Mantha. If Mantha didn't get hurt, I was like 24 hours away from getting a 5th and an 8th rounder for him, which I could have flipped into something now that I could use. Like, even if that had turned out for me in that sense. But
yeah, I had asked about Vasilevsky with Steve too.
Yeah, I know. He said, I feel like when he gets asked about guys from a bunch of people, he just doesn't want to make a move because he's like, oh, it's a hot commodity. But it's like, well, that's when you got to make your decision.
That's when that's why I moved Kane, because I had 3 people initially I wanted him.
Yeah.
But it quickly turned to 2, but
yeah. Well, I've received a couple snapshots of offers that some teams have received around the league.
Why do they? That's the benefit of being a commissioner. Everyone kind of fills you in on what's going on.
Yeah, and like, I'm not going to call anyone out, but guys, come on. A couple of the offers that were sent around were not good. Like, they're not even close to good. Just don't.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to get this into. I mean, I'm not already looking to next year, but like, I'm just excited for this to continue to evolve. And
me too. I hope it just sticks around and everyone. Yeah, I'm starting to get to know some of these guys a little bit more. Like, I didn't know Steve at the beginning of this, and now we've talked a little bit. And same with Ben now that he's a fellow D-gen like myself.
Yeah. Well, I told him, I was like, get involved, because that was another thing I explained to him too, is that like, if you just sit on the sidelines, like, you're not going to build that trust and that relationship between guys to make trades and to ask for more, or to like be like, no, that doesn't really help me, like, make a better offer or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, if you sit on the sidelines, people will just be like, fine, fuck you. If you don't want it, I'm moving on, or take it or leave it kind of thing. But if you build that relationship, you can kind of circle back and have the conversations multiple times, and like, it's more beneficial. There is a benefit to being involved in the chat group and talking to people and making them realize you're a real person, and like get a feel for your opinions, and be like, understand that people have biases, but to know people's biases makes things make more sense, right?
Yeah. The only one I haven't really talked to now has got to be Joey.
Rundle. Oh yeah, Joey doesn't really talk to many people.
Yeah, I've talked to Rundle a couple times.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Joey's an apprentice, and he works with Nick, except now he got sent to a new job site, so Nick doesn't even see him anymore. But I messaged him, and I just made sure that I was like, yeah, you're still good, like, you're enjoying it, you want to be in it and everything. So he said yeah, so let's assume he is. And
yep.
I was asked about expansion, and I was like, well, the earliest expansion would ever happen would be after the 3-year keepers. So after people's expire. So, like, for example, you draft McDavid next year, you can keep him for a max of 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And then he has to go back in the draft. He's a pure rental.
You're going to wait that long, like after the 4th year?
Yeah, so after year 4, going into year 5 would be the soonest I would.
I think we need to talk about having an expansion fee for a team to join.
In what capacity?
I just mean like you have to buy in.
Yeah.
Like put in extra money in that pool that year. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought of different ideas and stuff like that. The hardest thing is going to be the talent pool, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, if you come in and the talent pool is skewed in any way and you're not competitive the first year, well, trade off your couple pieces that you have that are nice and get those draft picks and then build for the next year. Everyone's going to have a year where it doesn't work out and you.
Not true. My team's going to be competitive every year.
That's the goal. I think people are underestimating how competitive Nick and I will still be next year, regardless of what picks we end up with. Like, we're going to be active. We're going to find guys off waivers that aren't going to get drafted that are going to be top 100 players, right?
Yep. No, definitely.
If we hit on 5 of them, that makes us an average team and puts us in the winning.
I understand. That's why I want to trade with you, is to help sink you for next year.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like, the bars keeps getting lower and lower and lower. You saw the numbers I sent you the other day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a quick study I did.
Good shit.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, I got to go to bed. I got to be up early in the morning.
All right, have a good night, brother.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later, man.